It's my feel-good breakfast show.
This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. You're on S3. Now, studies have routinely found that athletes, especially female athletes, are often iron deficient. To find out more about this, Dr. FERRIMED joins us to discuss why iron deficiency is common in both male and female athletes and the impact it has on them. Doctor, are athletes more at risk to being iron deficient?
Absolutely.
And why is this the case?
So obviously you're making your body work harder to try to achieve things, inhuman things, impossible things. Well, not everybody, some people like a 5K. But when your
1K.
body... Or what? I think that's called walking to work. So what you have to do is we need to maintain these structures in our body that are being overworked. They need lots of oxygen, they need lots of minerals. I need to be able to get the oxygen to those tissues really quickly, which is where my iron comes in hugely. Because of the damage being done to the muscles and the ligaments and the tendons and the bone from recurrent, and I'm talking about harder exercise, endurance types of exercise. And no, let's not forget our power and strength types of exercises. We actually lose iron because of the rapid repairing that's always taking place. So it's actually quite interesting that athletes almost make themselves sick every day by hurting their bodies and then have to leave their bodies to recover and to heal, to then be a little bit stronger tomorrow, to be able to go a little bit further the next day. So it's very important that they can recover well before they strain their bodies again, and iron plays a massive role in this. So iron is absolutely critical. Almost all your minerals and nutrients are important for all your athletes.
I want to break it down. Female and male endurance athletes, are they equally affected by iron deficiency?
Women might need more iron around their period times. We know they're more prone even to injuries around their period times. So iron, super important in your ladies and even in men. You know, you're starting to get to 1 in 6 men might be deficient in iron, especially in your athlete group. And it's partly because in fact, in athletes, it's not always nutritional because they are eating well or they're trying to, hopefully. So not eating well as an athlete is a crime. Then not being consistent with recovery and supplementation, very, very important in your athlete who wants to progress and allow his body to recover and heal and to be well for the 50 years after he stops exercising. So absolutely, these two groups remain high risk with exercise and without exercise, but more so with exercise.
And I mean, we've been touching on this for a couple of weeks now that, you know, iron deficiency can affect your overall health in the long run. But with regards to athletes in the performance space, how will that then affect them again in the long run?
So with endurance specifically, it's the most noticeable. If you're doing something which is a short, high impact resistance thing, like weights, you may not be as aware of the iron deficiency because iron really starts to play a role as my body starts to heat up, as my heart rate starts to increase, as my blood pressure starts to maintain a good blood flow around my body, brain, right down to my feet, back up to my heart again. And iron is so important in the production of blood. So my bone marrow is stimulated by exercise, which means my body wants to make more blood. And this is, again, using more iron to try to feed the system that needs to work and function at a high level.
So many athletes are probably taking, you know, iron supplements to make sure that their performance levels are being reached, but are they getting enough of that key mineral to make sure that their performance is reached to the best of their ability?
So it's such a good question because you can really fall into the trap of assuming you're eating right, you feel okay, and maybe even taking a supplement. But if you're not testing, you really don't know. So I really recommend that all athletes who are pushing themselves to high levels of exercise, endurance, sport, competitive sport even, that they really just actually go and have it tested. You can't assume.
And what is the best way for athletes to go out there and get tested to make sure that the iron levels are correct and they will be able to put their body through all of the stuff that they are doing?
So we recommend a full series of tests. So one thing that's nice about athletes who are functioning at these levels and entering these competitions is they're used to spending money on their health. So they really don't have an excuse to skip this part. And it's like a runner would spend a lot of money on his shoes, but really there's something in this engine that's got to keep those shoes working. And so they have to do a full blood count and they have to do what we call a full iron profile. So they need to know where is the iron Is it in the blood cells? Is it outside the blood cells? And then what is the store of iron? Because this is what my body taps into when it starts to push itself. So it's quite a comprehensive test that we would recommend for them to do. I wouldn't risk just the quickie tests that go, oh, that looks fine. And definitely almost don't trust how you feel, because when we exercise, we feel wonderful. But it's a bit of an illusion created by my mind, because we just do love feeling good and fit. So you can sometimes believe that you're fine while you're not actually.
How do we say thank you? Because you have just been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down on the couch and answer all of our questions.
It's nerve-wracking, but it's such an important message. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, there you have it. Everyone does get tired from time to time, but if you do feel exhausted every day, you may be suffering from fatigue, which is a symptom of iron deficiency. If you are concerned about your symptoms, it's important that you find out with certainty whether iron deficiency is the reason by speaking to your doctor in order to work out what is causing your symptoms and also how to treat it.
1 in 2 healthy South African women suffer from iron deficiency. Speak to your healthcare professional about getting tested and treated for iron deficiency. Brought to you by FERRIMED.